Bar Kadosh. Boker or better said, Tzaorayim Tovim. Daf Kiddushin, Masechet Kiddushin Daf Nundale Amudale 54a1. We were talking about right now where Rav comes and Rav says, right, Chazarnu al kol hatzadim shel Rabbi Meir. We checked all the halachot of Rabbi Meir where he's talking about Hilchot Ekdesh. Velo matzinu Ekdesh b'shogeg en mitchalel b'mezid mitchalel. And we haven't found anywhere where Hekdesh is going to be b'shogeg. It's not going to be mitchalel. And b'mezid it's going to be mitchalel. So he says, Umishnatenu, and our Mishnah is bekotnot kiuna shelo balu. We're talking about the kutonet, the checkered shirts of the Kohen that they did not, what's the word? They didn't like fither out. They didn't, when they become faint. Right? That we're talking about the kutonet of a Kohen, that it did not get ruined. Because since it's mutar for them to use it, even when they're not doing the avodah, because the Torah was not given to Malachei Asheret, which means like this. Usually there's a problem of Ekdesh, of Milah. You're not allowed to make it from Kochi. But a Kohen is allowed to use his checkered shirt for whatever that he needs. Why? Because the Torah was not given to Malachei Asheret, which means that it's impossible for the Kohen to not use it whatsoever, even for one moment. So because of that, the clothing are going to be permitted to come and to use. So according to Shitat Rabbi Meir, that he says that you're allowed to come and you're allowed to benefit from the putting on the clothing, even not during the time of the Avodah. So too, you're allowed to benefit other things also, B'shogeg. And therefore, Rabbi Meir says that if a person came and B'shogeg came and he gave to a woman a ketonet of kiuna for Kiddushin, there's no milah. And it's actually going, and it's not going to go out to Chulin, but since it doesn't go out to Chulin, so it comes out that the woman, right, she didn't accept any money to be mitkadeshet, right? Why? You have to give money. You have to give something to a woman to be mitkadesh. He came and he said, look, I've got this shirt. This is a shirt that I use, bigdei kiuna, here. But no, because at the end of the day, since at the end of the day, there's no milah, and it does not go out to chulin, so she didn't accept any money. So Tashema, we're going to try to bring a proof then. Kotnot kiuna shebalu, right? Kotnot kiuna, that they came and they were out, mualim bahem. There is a problem of milah. Divrei Rabbi Meir, these words are Meir. My lover, we're not talking about afilu lo balu. There's also still a problem of milah. And therefore, what are you telling me that there's no problem of milah according to Shtat Rabbi Meir? One more time. Balu means it's worn out. If it's worn out, you put in genizah. You can't use it anymore. If it's lo balu, meaning you got a regular shirt, you could still use it as a bigdei kiuna. So he's saying, or we're not talking about shafilu lo balu, and there's still going to be a problem. He comes and he says, lo shebalu davka. We're talking about that it was davka balu. What does that mean? There's a din of milah that since they're not fitting for avodah, they're like a cheftzei ekdesh regilim, but a ketonet kiuna, which was still fitting for avodah, is not a din of milah. And therefore, why? Because the kohanim are allowed to benefit from it. They actually used to benefit from it. If you remember, they used to take them off and use them as a pillow, even at night times, and things like that. Okay? No. Balu davka. We're talking about the davka balu. So Tashima, we're going to try to bring a proof. Moalim bechadtin. Is there a din milah in shekalim chadashim, right? Because they are right now going to be for the korbanot tzibur. Ve'en moalim batikim, but there's no din milah in the shekalim yishanim, because right the leftovers of the lishka are for the chomot ha'ir, for the walls of the city and for the towers of the city, and then there's no milah in the leftovers of the lishka. Rabbi Meir says no, moalim afetikim. There's milah also in the old shekalim. There is milah in the old of the shekalim, of the, meaning like this. They used to have shekalim, and those shekalim they used to use it for the korbanot. What happens is there's leftovers. So they used to use leftovers for the repairing and all those things, bedek habayit, what they call, right? They used to use it for all these things. And then the new ones was for the new korbanot tzibur. So the question is there's a machloket here, is there going to be milah in the leftovers or not? So says the Gemara, according to Rabbi Meir, there is milah in the leftovers. Why? Name, we should just say, since you're allowed to benefit from it, because it wasn't given, like the Torah was not given to Malachei Asheret, we're human beings, we're going to benefit. Because they come from the money of the Shiur Lishka. any of these things which are communal things, robes, this, that comes from the money of the lishka, meaning it comes from the communal funds, right? How do you think they're going to get the money? It comes from communal funds. So says the Gemara, Lo teima Rabbi Meir, don't say Rabbi Meir, but say Rabbi Yehuda is the one that says Mo'alim B'Tikin. Because Rabbi Yehuda used to say that there is Mi'ila and Shira Lishka, and therefore it's actually going to be very matim with our Mishnah that we just mentioned before. According to Rabbi Yehuda, even though it was permitted to have benefit, right? Again, the Kohanim, even were not during the time of the Avodah, nevertheless, there is a din Mi'ila and other benefits. Meaning that Rabbi Yehuda says there's only not a din of benefiting if you're doing that office, that you're doing that service. You're not to do anything else with it. That's something completely different. So Tashema. So now we're going to try to bring a proof to Tanya's. We'll learn to the Braita. Amar Rabbi Yishmael bar Rabbi Yitzchak, says Rabbi Yishmael bar Rabbi Yitzchak, Avnei Yerushalayim shenashru. What happens right now if you have a stone from Yerushalayim that came out of the wall? Is there a problem of Mi'ila or not? So the words of Rabbi Meir are Mo'alim Bayim. There's a problem of Mi'ila, meaning that you cannot take one of these stones and use it for your own personal use. So therefore, according to his words, just like Ketonet Kiuna, Rabbi Meir says that once it's permitted to benefit from it, not during the time of the Avodah, so therefore there's no problem of Mi'ila in any case or form. Also the same thing with the Avnei Yerushalayim. Yeah, like, the same concept. So since Torah gave to benefit from the stones, right, which were built in the Choma, that you could enjoy from those stones, so there shouldn't be a problem of Mi'ila then. So what's going on? So he says, you're right. Lo teima Rabbi Meir, don't say Rabbi Meir, so Rabbi Yehuda. Again, it's always the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda. Because according to Rabbi Meir, there's no problem of Mi'ila. It's only going to be according to the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda, if you're going to tell me now it's Rabbi Yehuda, and he's the one that's holding that there is a problem of what? Of Mi'ila. Yerushalayim Mekadsha. He says, Chomot Yerushalayim are Kadosh, according to the Shita. But now we learned on the Mishnah Nederim. If a person comes and he says, Kikar ze alai ke'imra. This kikar is onto me like a sheep, right? Like I said, tamid. Or kadirim, which are basically going to be be'emot of Ekdesh, or of Atzeh Ekdesh. Or kaetzim, like the woods of the Mizbeach. Or kaishim, which is going to be like the fire in the Mizbeach. Or like the Hechal, like a Mizbeach, or like Yerushalayim. Rabbi Yehuda says, right, in such a case, the neder is going to be chal, it's going to be prohibited. So Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, Kol amer Yerushalayim, no maklum. If he said Yerushalayim, it's nothing, because according to Shittat Rabbi Yehuda, the Chomot Yerushalayim, right, are not holy. And therefore, that's why it's not going to become Hekdesh, because it's not holy. The Chitev, now you're going to tell me, Mishum de lo amar ki Yerushalayim, he didn't say like Yerushalayim. It's also nothing. He has to say it, something which is actually brought in Yerushalayim. Meaning it has to be that in order for Mi'ila to gab on, to take on into effect, it has to be something which is like it. So the Gemara in Numdaled Amubet says 54b, and the Gemara answers, you're right. There are two different Tanaim in the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda. They're arguing what is the dat Rabbi Yehuda to do with the Kiddushat Chomot Yerushalayim. One Tana holds that Rabbi Yehuda says there is Mi'ila, and he holds that according to Shita Rabbi Yehuda, Chomot Yerushalayim is Kadosh, and the other Tana holds that it's not. It's not Kadosh, and therefore there's no Mi'ila. Okay, Nikuda. Fine. Amar Ula Mishmed Barpada. Says Ula in the name of Barpada. Omer ya Rabbi Meir used to say, Hekdesh b'mezid mitchalel, b'shogeg eno mitchalel. So again, one more time. According to Shitat Rabbi Meir, if you took Hekdesh and b'mezid you used it, meaning purposely you used it for something else, it's going to be mitchalel. But if it's going to be done b'shogeg, it's not mitchalel. Why is it not mitchalel? Because since it was done, it was a mistake, so therefore it was not mitchalel, and therefore, right, what we mentioned before, obviously, right? That means basically what happens is that since it's not going to be mitchalel, it's going to be a problem of Mi'ila. So the only time that we said that it's going to be mitchalel is to do the korban. That a person is obligated to bring a korban Mi'ila, right? Even though it comes out that it still stays hekdesh in his kiddusha, which means that somebody is going to use hekdesh for his own purposes, it's not going to be kayam, and therefore the money does not go to chulin. So therefore he's going to be chayav korban, even though there was no Mi'ila, there was no benefiting from kodesh. So says the Gemara, I don't understand. If the money, right, does not go out to chulin, so why do you have a korban? Meaning it's a catch-22. If the money stays hekdesh, so then there's no milah. And if the money became mundane, became chulin, then there is a korban. Meaning, if this always stayed kadosh, always stayed holy from the beginning to the end, why do you have to bring a korban? Doesn't make sense. But rather, when Rabbi came, he explained in the name of Rabbi Omer ya Rabbi Meir, we used to say in the name of Rabbi Meir, Hekdesh b'mezim mitchalel b'shogeg mitchalel, ve'lo amru b'shogeg mitchalel nyan achila bilvad. He comes and he says, when do we talk about the entire concept of milah to do with b'shogeg? Is only to do with if you ate something of Hekdesh, or you benefited from something of a Kiddush, and then that's it. You can't do anything with it. So it comes out that you lacked the Hekdesh. If you take something away from Hekdesh, there's a problem of milah. But there's no milah if it's going to come and you're going to do something that was a mekach, basically was like a mistake, and then afterwards you take it back and it's still Hekdesh. There's no such thing there. Okay? Fine. So now we're going to bring up Psak Halacha. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav Ada Barav. It says Rav Nachman, name of Rav Ada Barav. Halacha is like Rabbi Meir, b'ma'aser. That means halacha is like Rabbi Meir and Maaser Sheni, that it belongs to Hashem. Choy v'satam lan kavatev, because we have a stam mishnah like him. But halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda and Hekdesh, that if you went and you did it b'shogeg, it's going to be mitchalel, and if you did it b'mezid, it's not mitchalel. Choy v'satam, because we have a stam tana like Rabbi Yehuda. Meaning, anytime that we had a stam tana, meaning it's like a tana that was without any arguing. So we're going to pass it like that. So stam tana was like Rabbi Meir to do Maaser Sheni, we pass it like Rabbi Meir and Maaser Sheni. Stam tana like Rabbi Yehuda and Hekdesh, we pass it like Rabbi Yehuda and Hekdesh. So says the Gemara, let's see which stam mishnah was like Rabbi Meir. Like stam mishnah like Rabbi Meir, Maaser Mahi, where is the mishnah? The Tzram we learned in the mishnah Kerem Revai, to do with Kerem Revai. Remember the first 3 years is Orla. The 4th year, right, is going to be Kerem Revai, which means you're not allowed to benefit also from the tree. Here it says you've got the Orla, and after the Orla, right, on the 4th year, it's going to be called Revai. Perot Revai of Eretz Yisrael is like Maaser Sheni. So you could only eat it in Yerushalayim. Okay? So he comes and he says like this, Kerem Revai. Bet Shammai says, En lo chomesh, there's no chomesh when you redeem it. Remember, by Maaser Sheni, when you redeem it, you have to add a 5th, and then you go up to Eretz Yisrael, and you buy fruits and whatever it is, and you eat over there with the extra 5th. But here, he's saying there's no extra 5th. Ven lo din biur. You don't have to finish it, right, by the end of the 3rd and 6th year of Shnat HaShemitah. Right, that means by Trumot u'Masrot, right, by the end of that year, you have to finish it off. You're not allowed, you have to be mevayer otam, you have to destroy them. You don't have any leftovers. Meaning there's no, no, it's not so many years. It's years 1, 2, 4, 5. So right now, Maaser Sheni was in the 1, 2. So the Sof Shana Shlishit of Machzor HaShemitah and Sof Shana Shishit, you're not allowed to leave them over anymore in your property. So therefore, you have to get rid of it. So therefore, 1, 2, so they have 3. At the end of the 3rd year, you have to get rid of the 1 or 2. And the 4, 5, you have the 6. So the 6 has to get rid of the 4, 5. Okay, so that's called biur. Biur is you have biur mi biarti mi kodesh min habayit. I have to get rid of it from my house. A lot of things. Bet Hillel and also it's even the money, right? Right. Bet Hillel only Bet Hillel says yeshlo. It does have a din of pidyon, and you have to add on a 5th plus biur. So you have the biur and pidyon. Bet Shammai come and they say yeshlo peret, yeshlo olelot. What does that mean? You've got the din of peret and olelot. Right, which means peret v'olot are for the aniyim, in any other type of a kerem, right? The peret are the ones that fall down, which are like grapes which fall down, and the ololot are the clusters that they do not have one shura, right? That they only have one shura of anavim. It doesn't have much more than that. So it's like one row of grapes, and one of them is just like grapes bodedim that they just fall out. That's called peret. Yes, that's called peret and olelot. Bet Hillel say kulo legat. Right, Bala Kerem is allowed to come and give everything, right, to the gat. What is the gat? I mean, he doesn't have to leave over any peret and only live for the ananim, because perot revei mamon is gavoahem, and therefore there's no problem of kerem revai in these things which are going to be chayav peret ve olelot. Okay, fine. So now the Gemara says like this: My tama the Bet Hillel. What's the reasoning of Bet Hillel? So there was machloke between Bet Hillel and Bet Shammai. Do you have a din of peret and olelot? And not, and there's another machloket, you have to add on a 5th, and you have the din of biur and not. So you have a two-way machloket. So it says the Gemara now. My time at the Bet Hillel, what's the reasoning of Bet Hillel? Gamre kodesh kodesh mimaaser. They're going to make a gzera shava kodesh kodesh from maaser. Just like maaser, you've got chomesh and biur. So to clarify, you have chomesh and biur. Makes sense. Oh, Bet Hillel, they didn't learn this gzera shava of kodesh kodesh. Therefore, they're not going to make that gzera shava. Bet Hillel omrim b'maaser, but according to Bet Hillel, they're going to say by maaser. Keman svira lehu, who do they hold like? That it belongs to mamon gavoa or mamon idiot. So he says, if they hold like Rabbi Yehuda amai, so then why does it say kol ulagat? Ha'amar maaser mamon idiotu. He says it's money, regular person's money. So why are they not going to be chayav in peret ve'olelot? Right? Meaning they should be chayav. Remember that the peret ve'olelot is exactly the same as leket and shicha. Remember, whenever you have three things in every single field. You have peah, which is the corner of the field, and leket shicha. So leket shicha is talking about the wheats and the things like that. The peret ve'olelot is talking about the grapes. So here we're saying, if you're going to tell me that the money belongs to mamon hediot, so if it belongs to mamon hediot, why are you going to say that you're not going to be chayav in peret ve'olelot? Peret ve'olelot, I would say that that's going to be only in the case of the if it belongs to Hashem. But rather, obviously, it holds like Rabbi Meir. And since he holds like Rabbi Meir, the maaser sheni is mamon gavoa. So therefore, that's why he's saying that you do not have to separate peret ve'olelot, because everything obviously that belongs to Hashem. You're not going to say, it belongs to Hashem, you still have to give peret ve'olelot. It belongs to Hashem. Now the Mishnah says, this is what we're talking about before, like the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda be'ekdesh. What does that mean exactly, that like the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda is be'ekdesh? Maihi. The Tram, as we learned in the Mishnah, shteshilach biyad pikeach. Imagine right now the Gizbar of the Ekdesh. Remember that the Ekdesh had an appointee, a trustee, that he was in charge of all the Ekdesh. Now he sent money in the hands of a normal person. Now he remembered that this money is actually of Ekdesh. Now he didn't tell the Shaliach that. Yeah? Or the Shaliach remembered it on his own. So now he gives it to the Chemvani. The Chemvani is the storekeeper. Chemvani ma'al l'chshiyotzi. So now the Chemvani, when he's going to take this money, he's going to do the isur of Milah and not the Gizbar of the Shaliach. That means basically only the Chemvani was the one that was shagag, that made the mistake in taking the money of Ekdesh. But the Gizbar and the Shaliach, they were mezid. Because since they already found out about it beforehand, so they were like the mezid. And only the Chemvani is a shogeg, because he didn't know. How does the storekeeper know what type of money you paid him with? It was Ekdesh or not Ekdesh. How's he going to know? He's not going to know. But the Shaliach remembered, right? And the Gizbar also knew, right? The Gizbar is the one that's in charge. So says the Gemara, so therefore that's what we said, that it's going to be Chal L'Kinyan, and therefore the money is going to be Chal, right? And that's what we said, that Mishnah Stamit is holding that it's like going to be like Rabbi Yehuda. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda b'maaser milotnan. Didn't we learn a Mishnah Stamit also like Rabbi Yehuda that it's mamon idiot? Vatnana podeh maaser sheni shelo mosif chameshito ben mi shelo ben shenitan lo matana. If a person is going to redeem his own maaser sheni, he has to add a fifth. Whether we're talking about the maaser sheni belonged to him or whether it was given to him as a matana, was given to him as a present. So who is this Braita? Who is this exactly? This Mishnah. Ilem, if you're going to tell me now it's Shitat Rabbi Meir, Mimatzi v'lei matana, can you give matana? You can't give him matana. V'amar, he holds maaser as mamon gavoa. So since it's mamon gavoa, how do you give a matana from mamon gavoa? So it doesn't belong to you. How are you doing that? But rather, it has to be according to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda. So says the Gemara, no. Really, we're talking about Shitat Rabbi Meir. What are we dealing with? He gave it to him when it was tevel. And he holds matanot shelo hurmu kemi shehu lo hurmu damyan. Any matanot that was not given over, it's ki'ilu that means trumot u'masrot. Right? Anytime that you have trumot u'masrot that were not separating of the truma, right? So he comes and he says, as long as they weren't separated, it's nothing. So therefore, during the time when the Bala Perot came and he gave the Perot Tevel as a present, right? It was still Mamon Adiot, and he received it. And therefore, when he comes now and he's going to separate it, it's kilu that it's his, and that's why he's obligated to add an extra fifth. So again, one more time, I received the present. At the time that I received the present, that's when I'm going to be chayav to come and to give it over, and that's what you're actually giving it over. So Tashema, we're going to try to bring another Mishnah now. When you're going to redeem netar revai, you also have to add a fifth. Whether it's Shalom and Mishnah. So this is like the Shita of Bet Hillel, not like Bet Shammai. So Mani, who is this? If you're going to tell me so b'mid, can you do that? Vagamni, he holds Kodesh Kodesh from Maaser. So if he learns Kodesh Kodesh from Maaser Sheni, so therefore it comes out, right, that the Mishnah is holding the Maaser Sheni is Mamon Gavoa. So two Perot Revai is going to be the same thing. So you can't give it as a present, but rather it has to be Shitat of Yehuda. So says the Gemara, Leolam, really be'emet, it's Shitat Rabbi Meir. My skin, what are we dealing with? He gave it when they were still very, very small, meaning it was only the beginning of their growing. The grapes at the beginning, it's like boset, right? It's like smadar. It's very, very small. They don't grow enough. So therefore, according to him, it's like Rabbi Yosef, the mar smadar is assumed peri. It's like a pri in itself, and therefore that's why he says that it's going to be chal the shem revai also on smadar. We're going to try to bring now another proof. The other proof is Mashach emenu maaser besela. Imagine right now you're going to take and you're going to acquire maaser sheni from your friend, right? So you took the maaser sheni, right? That's worth a sela. Velo yispik liftoto, which means that you weren't able to pay the money, which is the pidyon, ad shamad b'shtayim, the price went up. It happens many times. You come, you take this, all of a sudden, the price went up. I have it in my hand. I didn't pay for it yet, but I have it. And now it's going to be 2, right? 2 slaim. Noten sela. You give 1 sela. Umistaker v'sela. Now you're going to gain another sela. So it comes out that you paid 1 sela for fruits, which are now worth 2 selas. U'maaser sheni shelo. Maaser sheni is his. Why? That means because it became his maaser sheni before it went up in price. Because you already did a kinyan b'meshicha. So who is this? Money. Who is this? If you're going to tell me Shitat Rabbi Meir, the question is why? Why Mistaker Besela? Why is he going to be Mistaker Besela? It says over here, he shouldn't be chayav to give it to the mocher. Why? How does it help to do a meshicha, a kinyan al maaser sheni? It says v'natan at kesef kamlo marachmana. It says that it's the mamon, right? Is mamon gavoa is not niknet the kesef. It's only niknet the kesef, not with anything else. Which means meshicha does not help. He has to pay. Here, he didn't have the time to pay. So since he didn't have the time to pay, so what does it help? So he says, Elav Rabbi Yehuda has to be the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda. And therefore, that he says, Maaser Sheni is Mamon Idiot, belongs to Idiot, not to Gavoa. So answers the Gemara, Leolam really be'emet, it's Shita of Yehuda. The Hechal here, Chad Stama, the Hechal Trei Stama, which means it is. Here, we had a proof to Rabbi Meir. And we had a proof to Rabbi Yehuda. But the Mishnah, according to Rabbi Yehuda, was 1 Stam Mishnah like him, which was Mashach emenu maaser besela. But Shitat Rabbi Meir, you had 2 Stam Mishnahs like him. One of Kerem Revai and Bet Hillel to do the Gat. So since you have 2 Mishnayot in according to Rabbi Meir, and only 1 Mishnah in according to Rabbi Yehuda, we pass him like Rabbi Meir. Because you have 2 against 1. You have 2 Mishnayot in the Shita of Rabbi Meir. The Stama Davka, now if the Mishnayot Stamot, right, were often stam davka in order to paskin, so what do I care then? Meaning like this, you're coming, you're telling me, listen, I've got 2 stam mishnahs like Rabbi Meir, 1 stam mishnah like Rabbi Yehuda, so we paskin like Rabbi Meir. If the mishnah stam, so that's it. What do I care now? 2, 1. The mishnah was placed stam to paskin like it. So what do I care whether it's 2 or 1? You're right. Really, we paskin like Rabbi Meir, because he's the Shita Muvcheret in our Mishnah, which is basically in the Masechet Kiddushin. Masechet Kiddushin, they come and they have a whole bunch of differences between, different rabbis, and therefore, right, over there, that's how we're paskening like him, because he's a Shita Muvcheret, and that's the way that it's supposed to be. But that's the only reason why Bemet, we're going to be paskening like Rabbi Meir, not because it's a 2 against 1 or things like that, but rather because he's the Shita Muvcheret.